All right, guys, let's start with some coaching news right now. Obviously, Michigan looking for a new head coach, probably though not for long. Wednesday night, the big announcement comes out, or the word leaks that Harbaugh is, of course, going to the Chargers. Probably already got the guy in mind, I think.
Yeah, I think they stick with Moore, the offensive coordinator. I think he's a good. Obviously, he's 3-0, right? And he's 1-0 against Ohio, or he's 6-0. When he
6-0. Yeah,
six
don't
six
don't
zero. That's
don't
right,
short shrift him there.
including a win over Ohio State. So this dude, like, he's undefeated in his career.
And he's not afraid of his emotions because he cried on national TV.
You know what?
So
He should retire though, right now. Just retire. I'm the only undefeated coach in
the
college football
number
history.
one coach of all time at Michigan, 6-0.
Yeah, yeah. And got the
You can't
championship
beat
ring.
me.
Yeah, yeah. You got a ring too. Yep. Leave right now. I'm gonna do something else. I'm with you. Interesting story. Kalen DeBoer leaving Washington to go to Alabama, and a story coming out that the school up in Seattle made an offer, a Big Ten offer. In other words, some really big money that you only get like in the Big Ten or the SEC. He turns them down though, still to go to Alabama.
Yeah, I think there are very few places that he would have left for, but I mean, Alabama is like I don't know, it's the Parthenon or whatever. You want to, I mean, it's special, and it's got such a great history, and how umpteen, what is it, like 11 national titles or something like that. I mean, it's just crazy, right? So they, it's just, you're following the legend though, and that is really hard. So that's a decision he had to make, but he's going to have to rebuild a roster. But I think it shows also how much money there is in the Big Ten and the SEC. They both have just truckloads of money to throw at guys.
I would love to talk to Coach DeBoer because I think the difference in those jobs that I would have been wanting to leverage is the best players in the country come from the Southeast and maybe Texas for the most part, you look California. And that is the farthest place to go on a plane to get to Washington. Now he's in the midst of the hotbed of football talent in the school with arguably them and Ohio State are probably the two biggest names in college football. I can understand why he took it, but to take it after the GOAT makes it risky.
It's tough.
Yeah, because if you go back to back 9-win seasons, I mean they're racing chasing out of town after this.
Exactly.
Save the word 10 or more for like what 12 years in a row. Or
pitchforks will be flying. There'll be torches and pitchforks be running through Tuscaloosa.
Exactly. I just
9 wins.
Right. I went 10-3 back to back years. We don't care.
Yeah, I think they'd have the automatic pitchforks.
Yeah.
Speaking of running out of town, DePaul basketball, 3-15 start. Fellas, is there a worse job in major college basketball than DePaul? I mean, they're on the verge right now of going 20 straight years without an NCAA tournament bid, and they're in the Big East Conference, one of the most competitive leagues in the country. Who comes in to take this job, and who can turn this thing around? I mean, it's eating up coaches left and right.
Man, it's a difficult job. They don't have an on-campus arena. They're building a new practice facility, which is going to help a little bit, but they still don't have an on-campus arena. So they have no home court advantage hardly. I mean, there's, you have games when there are 1,000 people there. And at high major basketball, they've even talked about, how do we keep them in the Big East when they can't? I mean, they basically draw like a low major, but worse. And so it's really a difficult situation. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know who fits. Do they get they went with the assistant coach route with Stubblefield. I think they get that guy. I mean, obviously Illinois assistant coach Tim Anderson would be a guy that they could target. But I really think they need to concentrate. And this is one thing they've always said. Everybody always worries about, we got to be able to, we're at DePaul, so we got to recruit Chicago. We got to get this guy, that guy, whatever. I think they get a guy who has a system and a style and a way to play in place, and a staff in place who will come in and kind of hit the ground running and be able to just get guys that fit his system no matter where they're from. And I think that's what they need to do.
So who is that guy, Brad? Because now you've piqued my curiosity.
Well, there are a few guys. I mean, so here's what my guy, if I was them, and I've talked about this, I think one guy to think about is Josh Schertz who is the head coach at Indiana State. I think he makes some sense. Indiana State is 16-3. They play their offense is just fun to watch. They space it. They play it the way you're supposed to play. They do a really good job teaching that. So that would be my first guy. And I'm not saying, I don't know what they're going to do, but that would be a guy I'd talk to. And I think we'd have Schertz maybe adding a guy who has Chicago ties. Who knows? D Brown's at D2 Roosevelt. You could really pull him as your top assistant. And suddenly now you've got those connections, and it's there are some options there, but I think that's where that's my guy. So there you go.
Well, good. I think it's amazing to us of our age group who watched Mark Aguirre and Ray Meyer and that era, Clyde Bradshaw and all that era really dominate the regular season 2 or 3 years in a row and then fall short in the tournament. And I think it could be there, but you hit the nail on the head, Brad. I don't know how they win consistently until they get a home court advantage.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. All right, we're back with more.